What's up guys, my name is Lex Veldhuis and welcome to another episode of Poker Coaching. We're gonna continue with the every hand revealed of the 530 marathon run. We're playing lots of short-handed poker versus really tough opponents, and I am very curious to see what Jordan thinks about the hands this week. Alright, we're gonna shove this if they open. You can tell him. Tank always likes money, true story. Let's hope they check back, not the best runouts.
And let's pick things back up. All right, so we limp the small blind. And we get isolated. And we limp call the flop against, I don't know, like 20%, 22%, something like that. And check, turn. Great for our hand. And then we catch this river. So how do you think about this situation now?
I mean, I feel like we're still bluff catching.
I feel like we're still bluff catching. So how do you, what's the bottom of your value betting range in this type of a situation?
Well, I mean, I would start with like a queen, but probably 2 pair plus.
And then how much betting do you think you do on a card like this with your overall range?
Well, I mean, I should probably do a decent amount of betting since I'm the limp caller, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this board is all me pretty much.
Yeah, it gets kind of tempting to almost bet range. That's kind of like I'm trying to like walk you there,
Yeah.
but have you think it through on your own. So it gets really difficult for you to actually have air across this run out. So you limp call the small blind. So by definition, queen 10-8 is a really good board. There's going to be leading, but it's not like it's most of your strategy, I don't think. So I think checking's good. So you checked, it's fine. You check called, check turn. He's capped now because that's not the type of turn that allows him to check an uncapped range. So you have too many straight draws, 2 flush draws. If he has a set, he should bet. If he has 2 pair, he should bet. So if he has aces, he should bet. If he has kings, he should bet. If he has ace queen, he should bet. So like when he checks back that card, he gets really capped. And you're going to be able to really open up on the river. And then of course, the 9 of diamonds uncaps him again. So it reintroduces the strongest hands to his range because now of course he can have a straight. He just needs a jack. And he'll have a jack sometimes. But you don't really have anything other than a jack. I mean, like, you know, a jack, a 10, an 8, a queen, a 9. Like your range is just slurped up right into this this board texture here. Whereas his range still includes hands like king 2 offsuit. You know, he isolates you pre-flop and then bets, stabs the flop and then checks back. So you could have king 2 off. You know, he could have like 5-3 suited or something sometimes. You know, he can have all of those types of hands. You kind of can't. So this is going to be like an 80% bet type of scenario. I think betting like a pair of 9s specifically probably sucks. But so you might want to try to figure out how to check that. But the vast majority of basically everything else is probably going to bet.
Okay. Just because it's just like one of those scenarios. Like I shouldn't even look at what bucket my hand goes in. It's just he's relatively capped, and and I'm all over it. So just pure bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, because I'll have it so much, I need to offset it with so many bluffs that pretty much anything that gets there on the river is,
Yeah, it's one of those scenarios where you have very few, and I'm not gonna say none because you have like busted hearts specifically. So you might have like 6-5 of hearts, for example, right? So like you have some hands like that. So you have some trash in your range, but you have very, very few hands in the, let's call it like zero. Like if you think about an equity bucketing perspective, you have very few hands in like the 0 to 50% equity category. You have a lot of hands that are better than that. Your opponent has most of their hands in that equity category, and that's because they check back the turn. So because they check back the turn, they mostly have trash, and then occasionally they have a jack. And your range is like everything else. So, yeah, I think that you end up betting here a lot.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He is there. Who says there?
Yeah.
Ugh, that's so miserable. I hate it when this happens. Yeah, I would call too. I think it's a call. But I just hate like having to call this hand off. But I would definitely call against.
Yeah. I check, by the way, we're very far away from the money.
Nice.
This is a top three payout structure.
Okay.
Easy hands, huh?
Yeah. So like this is nice. It's nice when it goes this way.
Yeah.
So how do you think about this? Like, do you think that this ever gets close? Do you pure call here and just smile? Like, how you thinking about
Well, I think that's obviously the big blind three betting is a little bit of a weird dynamic. I think it's relatively linear from the big blind. I don't think that his bluffs come from the region of my two cards. In that sense, I think it's a good defend versus a big blind three bet.
Yeah, this is one of the hands that I hate calling versus three bets. I just don't like 9-8 suited at all. It's usually one of the worst ones. It's often folded in cash games as well. Um, your straight draw outs come on all the boards that are just totally impossible to put money in on. So like you make an open ender on Jack 10x, but like then he has King Queen and Ace Queen and Ace King and a pair of jacks and Queen Jack and stuff, and it just doesn't, like, the Jack 10x boards suck. You make a straight on Queen Jack 10 and he has like this massive Ace King asymmetry. They're just like this 9-8 suited is just like pits. I just don't like it.
Mm.
And I would have folded here, to be honest with you. But it's close. Like calling is not bad, but I would have, like, you can fold here, and I would have folded, but it's close. It's not negative. I think it's a mix and a solver, and I usually just muck. But yeah.
I think one thing that played into it is that, I mean, it's not like I'm like, oh, I should fold this, but I'm going to. But I do think that some of it that plays into it is the way he has been playing, right? He's kind of a blaster.
Yeah, I think that if I know that he's going to put in 3 streets of bets, I fold 9-8 suited more often pre-flop. I think that like what I want him to do is I want him to 3-bet pre-flop. Like you want him, if you're gonna play, if you're gonna flat, I think about how do I say this properly? If you're evaluating the weakest parts of your calling range, those make the most money when the other guy doesn't bet. So if he's really passive post-flop, then the weaker parts of your range make a lot of money. If he's going to bet the flop and bet the turn and jam river a lot, the weaker parts of your range get destroyed. Now, there's a conflicting signal there, which the conflicting signal is if he's 3-betting with like a really stupidly wide range, then this gets better pre-flop, right? But if they are like very aggressive post-flop, the weaker parts of your range tend to fall apart. So that's like something to think about a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one.
And then flops a call.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny because I saw the bet size and I'm looking at it. I'm like, oh, I wonder, and I'm in my head. I'm going, well, of course I'm gonna call, but I wonder. And I started thinking of all these reasons why it might have been a fold now or something, like. And then I just fold. Oh, wait, what?
Yeah. No, yeah, that one's gonna be a call on that board. There's not a lot of ways to have much. I think that this is just yeah. I don't think you fold much against this bet size on this type of a board, and I think this hand's just a call. I'd fold this pure. So it's just a sizing thing. I mean, like, because if you min raise, I'd pure call. But I think that against a 3x, I could probably pull his hand out.
Yeah, we talked about that last time, right? Where I asked you if that the fact that his standard open is 3x, that doesn't mean that I should defend what I do against a min raise just from a strategy perspective. It's all about the odds that I'm getting.
That's right. Yeah. I remember that.
I'm on baby sleep. Okay, I mean, we still gotta go for our hands. I don't think he ever bets a jack that way, right? So he's really going towards like ace-x or nada.
That's really small. It's fine. That's pretty annoying, particularly to have this type of equity. I would fold though. Okay. I don't think this is bad. I know that I said that I would fold, but I don't think this is bad. So how did you think about it?
I just figured that he's really polarizing himself, and against that I do pretty well. He doesn't have a 3, he doesn't have a 4, it's very unlikely as a jack.
this would probably be like the worst play ever if he has a jack. So I would agree that that's not what he has.
So I figured, well, he's not gonna bet king high this way because it's sort of a waste of king high. So I figured, yeah, my king high is gonna be good plenty of times. Like he's restricted to having an ace, obviously barring sets, but
Yeah, the only issue is it's a big ass bet, right? That's
yeah,
the
yeah,
only
yeah.
that's the only issue. Like I definitely think you have to call here when you have a pair and a gut shot, so like 5-4. Like you definitely have to call 5-4. You definitely have to call 5-3. Like I don't, you should have those hands when they're suited, by the way. So like like those are real hands. You can have like 5-4 suited, 4-3 suited, 5-3 suited. Those are calls I think you should be calling with. You have like deuces and fives. I think deuces with a heart, maybe call with fives. Probably could be close. King 5 offsuit. Yeah, like I said, I would have folded, but I don't know. I still don't think it's big. Like I don't think it's bad. It's just like I don't know. I probably would have folded because of how big the bet is, but it seems close. Oh my gosh, you just nailed him. That's so good. That feels amazing when that happens.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
How do you 3-bet the button versus the cutoff at the stack depth?
Good question. I like all the sort of umbrella strategy questions we're doing. You know, I mean, we always do that, but now it's like from a very like, okay, what about small blind? What about this 3-bet spot? It's good. Okay, so I would probably mix 3-bets with like some king X, queen X suited, maybe some hands like 10-8 suited, and then flat a lot of ace X suited, and then pretty linear in terms of high card hands.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Good.
Very deep here.
It's
Yeah.
probably an open.
Yeah, I think so. That's
Probably bottom right of one gappers.
Yes, it's definitely bottom. 7-4 suited is definitely full. Oh, that's pretty clean to me. I just want to see what Hello Toddy has. It's fine. It's not a super interesting spot, but
Yeah, I understand it's funny. It's like,
yeah. So how do you think about this? You check? So
yeah, kind of like betting here. I can fold out some better ace highs. I mean, he has some ace 8, ace 9, pretty rando boards. Can fold out a lot of equity. I block a lot of his continuing, I think, with the 7 of spades. Wouldn't have minded the bet. At the same time, hand plays pretty well. Like, there's not a whole lot of bad turn cards for me in a way. I mean, obviously there is queen jack, whatever, but
you have a lot of equity. It kind of
yeah.
sucks to bet and then get check raised and then have to piss the equity away. So it's gonna be like pretty close. It's just a board where you can maintain like a pretty high c bet. I don't know if it's gonna be like a bet range board. It's definitely gonna be a bet 80% plus board. Like I would say that you're not gonna check half the time or check like 40% of the time or even 30% of the time. This to me is like a bet 80% of your range or more type of scenario. But I agree that this is like one of the first hands. Like it's a very this is a hand you would check kind of eagerly. Like if you have a 15% check, this hand's going in it. So that's close. Seems very reasonable. So how did you think about this situation now?
Well, I feel like I pretty much unblock all of his straight draws. Well, I mean, apart from like 6 deuce or whatever ace. Well, actually, I block those as well. So I block his straights. So I block his straights. I unblock his straight draws, and spades make a lot of his bluffs available because he's not really supposed to bluff too much with spades here, I think. So I feel like this is a really good bluff catcher.
Okay, so like obviously it's a small sample, but it feels like we might be putting in too much money with too weak of a range in these scenarios. So this would be something that we could study and maybe filter for, where we run filters for you calling with like one pair, like hero calling. So we could run a specific filter for you calling with like ace high, king high, and then running like third pair or below or something, and just see if this is an area where you're putting in too much money. Because again, I would fold. I don't think that this one's as close. So the 3 subtracts like a decent amount of where your opponent's air is going to come from, but obviously it doesn't subtract all of it. But your opponent's going to bluff with like 6-7. It's a straight. It's going to bluff with 6-3. That hits this card. That it might be bluffing with like some ace deuce, ace 3. Those you lose to those now. They might be opening like 3-2 suited. You lose to that now, so like that's not going to bluff. Now they have spades. Like I'm not saying that they don't have bluffs. They could have like busted queen nines, 9-8s, 8-7s. So there's still air, but that seven's not going to be great in that context. I don't think. So like if they have 9-7, you block that. That way that would be something you'd hope they have. 9-7, 8-7 against spades, and then like queen nine. That's where I would assume most of your opponent's air is going to come from. You're going to have a lot of ace highs, so your opponent's probably going to organize their bluffing component low, like bottom up, low cards up, like on average. So it's probably better for you to hero call with ace king, if I had to guess. Then like so basically what I'm trying to say is, let's say your opponent has let's narrow your opponent's range. Okay, let's narrow your opponent's range to one of two bluffs. Let's say they could have either a busted open-ended straight draw. So they have either 9-8 or king queen. Which one do you think he's more likely to bluff with? If you can only have those two bluffs, probably 9-8, right? So I agree. So I think that if I'm you, if I'm going to hero call here, I'd rather just have ace king, and you have like a fully weighted. You have like a very heavily weighted at least ace king. Like whatever ace king you check back on the flop is going to call the turn.
Yeah.
So yeah, like this just seems like I actually don't like the seven of spades. I don't like having a seven in general. And yeah, like this, there's a risk that you're putting in way too much money here, I think.
Okay. Clear. Yeah. I mean, do you think that he's betting 3 deuce though, or 6-3?
No, my point is that those bluffs drop out.
Yeah. Okay. I see. Yeah. What would have otherwise been bluffs?
Exactly. Yeah. So now his range is getting more narrow in terms of how it has to bluff. Now his range has to bluff with more spades probably, because he has less busted low end straight draws to bluff
Yeah.
with.
I see.
Yeah, the spades that you would have, like when you, because one of the things you said, which was correct, was like he'd probably rather not bluff with spades. Okay, true. That's so I'm not going to disagree with that statement. But there are some runouts where it gets hard not to bluff with spades,
Yeah.
and this is one of them.
Because they're the bottom now. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. So in this situation, I think he's supposed to bluff with probably almost all of his spades.
Yeah. So if the river's a 5, then all of a sudden, all those 3 deuces become available, and he drops spades out of it.
Exactly, exactly, exactly.
Okay.
Perfect. Nice. I mean, like, this is where he's gonna have to bluff it from now, right? So
Yeah. No. It's but I see what you're saying though.
yeah, cool. You get walked. It's good. I can't remember if there's large betting here or not. I think there is, but I think this is still good. This is also good. So it's checking. Majority bet. Wow. Here we go.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, seems really close against the cutoff, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely flat against the button. I don't know. I think having a spade at the margin is probably not going to be great for you. So I'd probably fold this variation. I'm just looking for excuses to fold, and it seems really close.
Yeah. I like that so many of these hands are short-handed.
Yeah, it makes all the spots, basically much more interesting. Okay, so we bet. I think that's reasonable. We get raised, and now what's going through your head in the type in
Well, what's going through my head is fuck hello Toddy. Unrelentless, this guy. I don't know. It's probably. I think the 8 works in our disadvantage now. I think that's like hands like 8-5, 8-6 are like hands that work around the 7 or the 4. Cards that would work around 7 or 4 are, I think, are pretty good check raises for him. Even at this SPR. I mean, I feel like I have a lot of hands I can defend here, right? Like I have all the pairs, I have a shitload. Well, I have a reasonable amount of 4x. Flush draws, I can defend 2 diamonds. So maybe I should just fold this one.
I think you should call. So I like the call.
Aye.
But I think that there's a lot of shoving on this type of flop.
I see.
I don't like doing it with ace 8 necessarily. So, but I think that if you have like, I don't know, ace 10, ace jack, ace king, ace queen, those hands just probably just go in.
Okay.
What do you think?
I was really hoping for you to talk. I mean, I mean, I probably should call. I don't know. Like, clubs miss, all of his straight draws miss. I don't think he's just randomly like check raising king high, to be honest. I don't even know if 4x wants to shove or if it wants to just block very small or check. So I don't know. Maybe I should just call this.
I think the fact that it's a diamond helps you actually get out of jail free. Because basically, like, you end up having diamonds. You know, like you bet the flop, and then he raises, and then you call, and so you'll have like, I don't know, queen jack of diamonds or something, or you'll have ace 10 of diamonds, and like, because it's a diamond, now you can just call with that shit, and you can just fold this. And this is like the get out of jail free card. This turn, this turn is really hard when it's the king of hearts.
Yeah.
When it's the king of hearts, now you have to hero call this hand sometimes.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I just have like I was reasoning on the flop, like I have so many hands to call with. Like that's even more so true on the turn now, because now I have all my king high floats, all my diamonds.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the fact that it's a diamond is really helpful for folding the crappier parts of your range. If the board blanks and he jams, then it's like, oh man, really? Like, do I have to call this? So I think in this situation, this is going to be like a cleaner fold, at least.
All right. Yeah, awesome. Thanks a lot.
All right, sweet man. Yeah, look forward to finishing up and continuing to go. So
yeah,
thank you.
Thanks, bro. That was so interesting. It's always really good to hear what Jordan thinks. Of course, we now have to discover to see if I'm a calling station or not, so stay tuned for that. If you like what BBZ is saying, you can check him out over at bbzpoker.com. The links are going to be in the description. If you have any questions or you want any clarifications, please drop a comment down below. And if you like the content, make sure you sub. I'll see you guys next time.